When Catherine and I were really very small, we were in grammar school, early grammar school, we wanted to go to China. And we were not allowed to cross the street on our own, so we decided we would dig straight through. So we got some shovels and we got other children in the neighborhood to help us, and we dug for 3 days. And I knew we were on the right track because every now and then we'd turn up a broken piece of china with those Oriental symbols on the back. So we dug for 3 days and we were exhausted. And finally I told Catherine, I said, Catherine, we've got to stop this digging. I said, at the rate we're going, I'll be 16 years old before we get to China. And we finally decided we're not going to dig to China. We're just going to wait till we're grown up, make some money, and we're going to fly over there. We're going to do it the easy way.
We finally got here, and it was a lot easier flying, I'll tell you.
We are Globus and Cosmos. We operate tours all over the world. Globus provides first-class vacations at reasonable prices. Cosmos, low-cost quality tours. Both offer excellent value for your money. We've been doing this for over 60 years. Through your travel agent, Globus or Cosmos brings you the world's vacation destinations. Europe and Britain, Australia and New Zealand, USA and Canada, Hawaii, and the Orient. Now, let's join Globus passengers on a journey to the exotic Far East.
Well, it's something we've been planning for about 6 years. I knew generally where I wanted to go, so I wanted to find a tour company that would take me there. And Globus had a package that fit identically
To what we wanted
to the package
to do.
that we were thinking about doing.
I had an aunt who was a travel agent, and Globus was recommended by my aunt. Globus was recommended by other people my mom talked to who have been on tours.
Also, a few years ago, Tara went to Europe on a Globus tour, and she was so impressed with that tour that's why we're on this tour.
The people, when they travel to the Orient, they're not quite expecting the things that they're going to see. Each country has its own culture, and it's exciting, and each country is very different.
The journey begins as you cross the Pacific Ocean and international dateline to your first stop in the Orient, Japan.
Tokyo is a happening place. You can just see it like in the buildings and just the people on the streets and things like that.
Tokyo, all the hustle and high tech and dynamicism that you see.
Everything is first rate, everything is high tech, everything's extremely efficient, extremely clean. They seem very goal oriented and they work in harmony. It's absolutely amazing.
It's a fascinating place. If there was another place that I'd live in the world, if I could afford it, I'd live in Tokyo.
This evening, meet your fellow travelers at a welcome reception hosted by your tour director. Your guided tour begins the next day as your local guide shows you traditional Japanese culture at a shrine commemorating a most highly regarded emperor and empress. Your guide will show you the Great Buddha, a 42-foot tall, 500-ton bronze statue dating back to the 13th century. You'll also visit the alleys and covered passageways of the Asakusa district with its fantastic bazaar. Then, a stop in the scenic city of Odawara with an opportunity to behold Japan's feudal history before heading back to Tokyo the fast way.
Bullet train, it was a fast train. I remember when we were standing at the station, one just whizzed by like in the middle tracks and like you could feel the breeze afterwards. It was crazy. You know, you went from one place to another in the shortest time.
How was it? Not bad. That was a ride.
It was fun.
It was a fun ride.
Before leaving Tokyo, enjoy a delicious meal in a traditional Japanese setting.
That was my favorite restaurant so far. She put the corn on and all the meat, the chicken, all different types and the vegetables and everything. It was really cool to see, and tried the sake.
I would lose a lot of weight if I lived over here and had to eat with chopsticks. And Terrell's not much better.
Really. But one thing about it, after you've eaten a few bites, it sort of improves. You know, every time you successfully raise the food to your mouth, you know, you get a reward. You get to eat the food, and so we're getting better.
The food was so good. Everyone raved about the food at that place.
Your journey through the Far East continues, across the Sea of Japan and Korea, to the political and cultural capital of the People's Republic of China. Only Westerners call it the Forbidden City. To the Chinese, it was and is the Imperial Palace. Your local guide will lead you through the largest and most complete group of ancient buildings still standing in China.
It was really fascinating. I mean, the area was so much larger than I thought it was going to be. And it was so magnificent in its architecture and the colors. And you can kind of, in your mind, visualize the activity that went on in the Forbidden City and how special the emperor was.
Bicycles. Tons and tons of bicycles. I don't know how they distinguish theirs from anyone else's.
Oh, we love the bicycles. I thought that was marvelous. Apparently very little pollution, and the people seem fit. Maybe it's because they eat well and ride those bicycles all the time.
We walked out of the hotel, and I walked down a street and then over a street down one of these markets, and it had all the meat and everything hanging. Every shop we went by that we paused a little bit, people came out, smiled, nodded, they were friendly.
And they would say hi. You know, they didn't know any other English, but, you know, they're just, you know, being polite and say hi back and they giggle. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of beautiful children on the trip, and their beautiful little faces. They look like little dolls, and we've really enjoyed seeing the children on the trip.
They're happy, although they're poor, but they still are happy people. They're very humble. And we as Americans, there is something for us to learn from them.
They're quite impressive people, intelligent, and they have enormous potential. If their system could change, there's no telling what China could do as a nation.
Your guide will also take you to see Beijing's tradition of cloisonné, a 700-year-old handmade process which produces one of China's most well-known treasures. Your sightseeing will continue with a visit to the Ming Tombs, where you'll walk along the Avenue of the Animals, 24 giant marble statues that guard the approach to the final gate. Next, a stop at the Summer Palace, a collection of former imperial residences. Highlights here include the Empress's impressive marble boat and the 7,000-foot decorated lakeside passageway.
Over 1.25 miles of beautifully decorated protective passageway is kind of more than you can comprehend. And the fact that every lintel in the passageway was an individual description of life, and it was just beautiful. I knew there was a lake there, but suddenly you're around the corner and you see this beautiful lake with the people going across in these boats. It really was gorgeous.
End the day's touring with a stop at the zoo to see the pandas. Tonight, your tour director hosts a Peking duck dinner, a world-renowned gourmet Chinese delicacy.
The food has just been great on the trip.
I really like the fact that they plan some of our meals for us, because when we've gone into these Chinese restaurants, it's been very difficult, I think, or would be difficult for us to order since we wouldn't know what we were ordering. And I think it's nice that they serve it on a Lazy Susan and it's family style and everybody gets to try something.
The selection of the meals are usually in something that is very cogent to that area. If it's a Chinese meal or a Japanese meal or a Thai meal, it's something that has that flavor.
And I think we've had an extremely good variety of food, all the way from the dim sum. And then he knew right when to come in with an American steak. You know, I thought it was very well balanced.
That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to come on this Asian trip, was to be able to see the Great Wall. You've read it in history books, and then just to be able to see what you have read And then to be able to actually touch the wall, it's unbelievable.
What imagination, and who could have ever thought you could have built a structure of that size? They say it's the only structure you can see on the moon that man has made on the Earth. And I can truly believe that's so, as it meanders its way over some, I mean, really forbidding terrain.
Walking it and seeing like how long it extends, it just keeps on going and going and going. Incredible. It was just amazing to see.
I feel through this whole trip that I've been stepping into history books, postcards, Time magazine. It's just been phenomenal.
Leave the People's Republic of China, traveling further south to the tropical country of Thailand, venturing into one of the most exotic cities in the Orient.
The traffic pattern, it was chaotic for a person who wasn't familiar with it.
It's a marvel to watch Bangkok's traffic. You know, it's just like you said, a jungle rule. Cars are going whichever way, even all the way out into the countryside.
I like the tour guide's description. The lines on the road are for decoration only.
It's just such a wild place. There's no one word that could describe Bangkok.
The splendid temples and palaces of Thailand's capital lie on the waterways and canals that still are Bangkok's main streets. Your sightseeing today begins traveling by boat to the Temple of the Dawn.
Location on the bank of the river, how brilliant it was in the sun. It seemed to me like the outside of it's just covered with ceramic ware that glistens in the sun.
I remember like climbing those steep stairs to get up to the top just to see everything, and to think that they did this so long ago.
At the temple, you'll have free time to explore the fascinating surroundings. Then, your local guide will lead you to the Court of Old Siam, which has come to be known as the Grand Palace.
It was many, many, many times larger than I expected it to be. Each time I rounded the corner, the next thing I saw was so different. I mean, one temple was gold, the next temple was this glistening ceramics. The next temple showed the dancers holding the temple up. It just got on and on and on to the point where you thought Walt Disney must have put it together. It was like Disney World with a Far East flavor. Incredibly complex and incredibly beautiful.
For the adventurous, there's an optional journey deep into the jungles and narrow waterways of Thailand's countryside.
I think that going down the river was one of the things that I love most about this trip. We went on a gondola that was 30 or 40 feet long, only a few feet wide, and the natural beauty is just stunning. It's just breathtaking. The river was very narrow, and the houses were built right over the river.
You see people washing their vegetables and taking baths and shampooing their hair, and it really was a principal artery to the livelihood of those people.
Enjoy this close-up view of Thailand's unique culture as you speed towards your final destination, the floating market. Once you've arrived, you'll have free time to experience the daily activities of this waterborne marketplace.
It seemed to be chaotic, but it seemed to work very well. I mean, everyone had their particular wares, and I particularly noticed these grandmothers in these tiny boats that seemed to, have a draft of about 3 inches, just kind of carking along the surface, but they seem to handle it so well.
They do everything on that river. They cook on there. The ladies seem to do everything. It was the woman who was, driving the boat and selling everything, all the products that she had. They had garments, they had hats that they had made.
It was just very exciting. It was like turning back time to another era.
Also on today's countryside excursion, a chance to enjoy the extraordinary sensation of riding an elephant.
Very rhythmical, and you had the very pleasant sensation of just kind of floating along. I guess you kind of in your mind thought you were the Maharaja arriving at some, a Bengal tiger hunt or something, but you rode into the field.
You'll also sit back and relax as you're entertained by the amazing antics of these grand pachyderms. Your stay in Thailand comes to a close as the intriguing traditions of the Thai people are brought to life at a colorful culture show. This show is one of many optional excursions that are offered by Globus, in addition to the basic sightseeing on your tour.
Sightseeing that's inclusive is usually the city tour. The optional excursions usually go far beyond that. They go to something that's very unusual or rare or exotic and exciting. And I wholeheartedly recommend them to do this.
They will miss out on a lot of things if they don't. They have to take the optional tours, because why go to another country and sit around the pool or sit in your room watching television or reading a book when you can do so many exciting things over here?
Because you want to take every optional tour that's available, because it just adds so much dimension to what you're seeing and what you're trying to get an impression of a country. And I think the value of the tours are just very, very good. We either had a lunch or a dinner included, and it was always in a rather interesting spot that I never could have found myself. I think in Bangkok, for example, we would not have gone and seen the Thai dances or the elephants, or, I mean, the kind of experiences memories come from.
Leaving Bangkok, as with every country you'll visit on your Globus tour, your departures and arrivals will be smooth and worry-free, thanks to your tour director.
Jerry takes care of everything.
They give me their air tickets on the first day of the tour, and they don't see them again until the last day of the tour when I return them to them. All of their check-in is done.
We feel secure with him, following him through the maze of customs, through the airports, onto the bus, to various places.
Everything is done for them. They're like VIPs. We arrive at the hotel, they have no cards to fill out, their keys are ready for them in envelopes, and they go right to their rooms.
I can't imagine how it could be any less difficult. I think the tour guide makes it that way.
He gives us all kinds of advice as to where to go for shopping or nice places to eat or different things to do. So it's kind of nice to go with someone that's already been that way.
It's very reassuring to find somebody that's confident and relaxed in an environment that is so foreign and so exotic.
Now, it's off to the international crossroads of the Orient, the modern city of Singapore. East and west blend neatly in this island republic, with one of the world's busiest seaports. Your local guide will begin your sightseeing at the Botanical Gardens, noted for its most beautiful hybrid orchids. The local guides in each country that you visit will enhance your sightseeing with an insightful perspective that only a native could provide.
And they have the culture of that country, and the people can ask them direct questions, personal questions.
She was really informative and seemed to care about each one of us. And she told us about her family, about the living space, like what the average income is.
And these were people who were parents, who were concerned with the same things we were, and they were able to show us that in their country, as well as all the regular sites that we had to see.
Very good guys. They're very knowledgeable. Some of them have worked for the company for over 20 years. And they all have their own unique little personalities, and I think it's been great.
Your guided sightseeing through culturally diverse Singapore continues with a visit to an unusual Indian temple.
When I first saw it, it looked to me like a fun house at a carnival, because the Indians have this huge plethora of gods and that sort of thing that they were indicating on the outside of their building. They used colors that were different, and the colors have a significance.
I was actually in the temple, when they started. First it started with the drums, and then the cymbals started playing, and then came this strange horn. I've never seen a horn like this before. It was long. It was a different sound altogether. Totally different.
At the end of the day, join your fellow travelers on an optional outing to try the famous Singapore sling, riding through the streets of Singapore aboard a caravan of trishaws.
It was really exciting, and we drove down through Indian Town and also through Chinatown, and I love that. It was really a lot of fun, and the drivers were trying to outdo one another, blowing their horns and jingling their bells. Oh man, I blew that horn all the time and jingled the other guys' bells. They loved it. And then we went up and we had a Singapore sling, and I haven't had one of those in years, but I really enjoyed it. I could have sat there for a long time, enjoying the view and having another couple of them. And we all sat around having a nice time together. There's a lot of companionship on this trip.
It's an interesting cross-section of where they come from Mobile, Alabama, all the way to, I think, the Canadian border. It really makes a fun trip and fun relationships that develop.
I guess there are 30 people on our tour. You have 30 friends.
So the transit times on the flights on the bus have been fun, you know,
Right.
because you're
able to
interaction
share.
with all the new people you meet.
So, you know, we've been really happy with that. We've made some nice friends here.
I think that some of the people are ones that we're going to maintain a friendship with and maybe travel with again next year. Everybody's gotten along great.
Leave Singapore behind as you fly to the last destination in your journey across the Orient, one of its most fascinating European colonies and the commerce capital of Asia, Hong Kong.
I love flying into the airport here. It was really exciting to fly in and look at the water, the beautiful water, and the mountains coming right down to the water. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. And then you have the old things and the new things right together.
Hong Kong was really a very elegant, beautiful city. It's a very sophisticated city, and it's very different from a lot of other areas in the Far East because it is really a tremendously active place. It's a very wealthy city. It's very impressive, very sophisticated, very elegant.
At the end of each tour day, in every country that you visit with Globus, you'll be able to relax in your inviting hotel room.
World-class hotels. That's always a question everybody asks, well, you know, how are the accommodations going to be? And I think they've been superb, really have.
Very luxurious and very comfortable, and the company, I feel, has done everything they said that they were going to do.
I can't think of anything that hasn't been taken care of for me. Getting the hotel rooms and getting the baggage moved.
You just don't really have to worry about your bag or deal with it. And these bags tend to get bigger and fatter and heavier as you go along, and it's really nice to have somebody handling that baggage for you.
In Hong Kong, your local guide will escort you to the many and varied attractions of this dynamic city, including Repulse Bay, a tram ride to the top of Victoria Peak with spectacular views overlooking the city and harbor, and an evening cruise to a dazzling floating restaurant where you'll enjoy dinner in colorful surroundings. Your guide can also arrange a day trip by jetfoil to exotic Macau, the gambling resort and Portuguese colony, or spend your free time in Hong Kong, taking advantage of this shopper's paradise.
For Hong Kong, be sure and bring your money and your charge card because you're going to want to buy some really beautiful, beautiful things that you may not have a chance to buy at home.
The first place I wanted to go, because it was so close to the hotel, was to the tailor. I thought that would be a really good souvenir. And I was able to talk to people in the store because other friends of ours from this tour were in there buying ultra suede jackets, and they seemed very pleased with what they were getting.
A number of people have had different garments made. 2 people are having shoes made today, and several have had suits made. One man is having 2 tuxedos made. So you can buy anything that you want to buy here.
Throughout your tour of the Orient, Globus assures you of the quality and integrity of the stores that we recommend, which offer you an excellent selection of the best local products.
Terrell, let me show you my ring.
Oh, Catherine.
Isn't that pretty?
Yes, this is beautiful. This is just lovely.
I think that in all of the stores that we've been in, especially the factory in Thailand, they were extremely helpful. I enjoyed the fact that they showed us the rough stones and explained where they come from, how they get them out of the ground, and how they polish them, and then we got to go on a tour of the factory and see step by step. That was really exciting to do that, and then to see the finished product. But I'm really happy with mine, and especially out here in the sun. You can't beat that.
As your journey through the Orient comes to a close, relax aboard a cruise of Hong Kong Harbor and watch the sun set behind Lantau Mountain as you enjoy cocktails with newfound friends and celebrate the success of your Globus tour.
I'd like to hear that this is their best tour that they've ever taken in their life. was far beyond our expectations, and I enjoy hearing all that because I know Globus Gateway puts out a good product.
I've been totally happy with the company. I really have. I think it's like finding a gem somewhere. They've done everything they said they're going to do, and always more. Always little extras that just make it really fun.
If I was traveling by myself, I probably wouldn't, do all of this in such a short amount of time. I'd probably have to spend, 2 months here, and who has 2 months to travel?
I can't believe that this has been such a short trip and we've done so much.
In one day, we might take a tram ride, a boat ride, go down a river, eat in a fabulous hotel. If Catherine and I went on our own, we would never be able to schedule things this well.
Because you want to see so much when you come to these countries. And if you were doing it on your own, I'm sorry, but you will be wasting time. And this way, you're not, because everything's already taken care of.
I felt when I wrote my check to get on this trip that I had made the last major decision, work decision I was going to have to make. And that's why I wanted to go with a group. I want it all done for me.
The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm realizing this was really a great trip.
I'll go back and tell everybody this year, gosh, you won't believe the hotels we stayed in, or the food we had, or the flowers, or the total experience.
Globus has been a lot more fun than digging over here. It's been just first class all the way.
I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
Cut.
The video you've just seen shows one of many tours that are offered by Globus. Other destinations and itineraries are also available in the Orient. But no matter which tour you choose, it doesn't have to end yet. After your tour of the Orient, Globus offers you the opportunity to continue your vacation by adding on a relaxing stay in the Aloha State, Hawaii. Picture yourself amid this and more of nature's most outstanding works, and you'll find a near-perfect paradise. Globus first-class tours and Cosmos quality low-cost tours offer you the world's vacation destinations with the same high quality of touring you've just seen. For information on itineraries, departure dates, and prices, visit your travel agent, who will help you pick the tour that suits you best.